Deb Cooper here with another video remade from a prior broadcast on my Blog Talk radio show from back in 2012. This one addresses the issue of black women and femininity and the need to be kind of hard and protective to protect both themselves and their children from predatory males. And it really just kind of delves into the fact that most black women living in inner cities are not afforded the convenience of relaxing and being soft and feminine and all the things that are associated with womanhood. It's impossible. You can't do it, because if you set yourself up to be that way, it means that you're going to be victimized. You'll be targeted and victimized. So it creates a very interesting dynamic for black women, and that's what we explore in this video, using a case of a bus driver who ended up punching a woman out back in 2012. I'm sure you remember that case. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, once again, do not call the number that you will hear repeated on the video. That was my number in 2012 to call into the show. It no longer applies. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy it.
Now tonight, I know most of you have seen or at least heard of the video that went totally viral this week, where a bus driver in Cleveland, Ohio, knocked the poop out of this crazy acting woman on his bus. Now, I'm sure somebody can, post the link in the chat room. I don't have it, real handy with me right now. I think it's actually it's linked in the description of the show. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing, because she's standing there just like acting a complete fool with this bus driver. This guy's at work. What is he going to do? He's engaging her in what we used to call playing the dozens. She talked about him, he talked about her right back, but he's laughing and taking it in good humor. He's not, not even bothered about her. But she's getting more and more irate, especially when he talked about her face, and all the people on the bus started laughing at her. That's what seemed to be the trigger. I've watched the video several times, and when he said that, she just lost her mind. She just flew to the moon. But that's okay, because when she came back down to earth, she had the nerve to go and spit on this man and put her hands on him. She choked him. This is the driver of the bus. This guy got the lives of 40 or 50 people in his hands by they're passengers on this city transportation system, and you're choking him? Are you freaking kidding me? So dude puts the bus in park, gets up, squares off with girlfriend, and hits her with an uppercut that lifted her butt off the ground and made her weave fly off. But she was a tough, she scrambled on up, and, going at it, he's trying to throw her off the bus, and she's scrambling like a little monkey, get back on it. It was just the most amazing thing. But that video, that's a long story to get to this point, which is her behavior caused shame in black women all over the country. Now, it didn't bother me, because I never acted like that in my life. I would have to take classes or something to act that much of a fool. But there was a lot of embarrassment, there was a lot of shame, and a lot of humiliation associated with the fact that this was a young African American woman in public acting a zip damn fool. And the question arose, people started comparing, that's how black women are. They're all violent. They're all angry. None of them know how to act. All they do is work their neck and cuss. And, so see, these negative stereotypes were just merely reinforced by this girl's behavior. And the fact that this video went viral, like I said, it has people of all races looking at her as an example of what black women do, which, if you're a believer in those negative stereotypes, it merely reinforces them. So that causes a lot of problems. Okay, but I'm merely giving that as an example. She really isn't the topic of the show, but she's the most recent example of what I'm talking about. This fool just single-handedly caused people all throughout the black community to question black women and what is feminine? What is our view of femininity? This girl, she had a nice little weave in her hair. She had a little lipstick on, and she had her little tight jeans on and everything. So from all appearances, on outward appearances, she looks feminine, okay? However, her behavior was extremely masculine by all standards. She's all in this guy's face, and she's just acting a fool. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get your take, because the very nature of attraction in a relationship is the polar opposite of male energy and female energy. So unless you're a homosexual or lesbian person, or, you consider yourself attracted to everybody, but, we're talking about normally, heterosexual relationships. That's usually what we talk to. My specialty is not gay and lesbian. So we're talking about heterosexual relationships here. And when I look at that, what you're curious about is, what is the dynamic, and how would a woman who behaves in a way that men perceive to be masculine, how does that play out? What does that equate to in the male mind? And if a guy is perceiving a woman to be, quote, manly, what is this they're going to do for her as far as relationships and dating? But if she has a very aggressive type of personality, because, not everybody is timid, male or female. There are personalities of both genders that are shy and retiring, or loud and boisterous, or aggressive and domineering. That kind of behavior is not strictly, quote, manly. The personality traits of aggressiveness and assertiveness and, dominance are not solely the male domain, even though in our society, traditionally those behaviors are associated with men. But if men are looked at as being dominant and aggressive and things, and they think they own that, then that means a woman can never be those things, or she's considered to be manly. Is that right? So women always have to just smile and be sweet and retiring and submissive to be considered, feminine and worthy of having a mate? Is that what we're looking at here? Because if so, that could be a problem. But if we have a situation like we do in the black community, where a lot of women are left to fend for themselves, there are few men to protect women and children in the inner city black communities. These guys are more or less the predators that the women are protecting themselves and their children against. So if you're in that kind of environment, how in the world do you have time to be relaxed and submissive and soft and all that stuff? You don't have time for that. If you're that kind of woman, you are a straight victim. So, we have set up a society, dudes, come on now. There's a society set up here where women are not allowed to be those things. Black women are not allowed to be that soft kind of behavior, because of the way that the communities are structured. The men are, being very predatory with these women. So what does that do, and what does that say? And I'd like to get your take. The number is 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad, and, let me know what your thoughts are on this. We'll start with the caller from area code 765. 765, what's your question or comment?
It's Heartbeat. I thought you retired on us.
Nah, I just took the summer off.
You just took the summer off and snuck away. I thought you'd bounce. You said, well, there's enough shows and just deal with it.
No, deuces.
Well, see, the danger with what that guy did, I've seen cases where one punch ends up in manslaughter. Somebody dies, or homicide. So I understand, that he had to control the situation. That's why I'm not advocating handcuffs and guns for drivers, cab drivers, bus drivers. But, one punch can end up being manslaughter real quick, because a man's power, he could have really, punched her to the point, where she couldn't even breathe. So, throw her off the bus, body slam her, but man, them hits to the head, if he had that Mike Tyson type of power, it would have been a wrap. But back to the femininity, women, a lot of brothers are going to college, and we have the electric brothers out here, and then we have different types of brothers. Some don't go to school. So when these brothers are dating different races of women, their standards of a personality they're looking for will go higher. Okay, so if they have the experience of dating a white woman, Latino, Asian, what have you, his standards are going to go higher if that's what he can attract and get. You see what I'm saying? So that has to, but then, you know, if he, because, you know, I like black women myself, you know, especially I'm extremely attracted to black women. My mother's a beautiful black woman. So it's like, but I'm looking for a great personality to go along with that. You know, I'm not going to power struggle with you. I'm not going to, you know, sacrifice peace of mind or self-esteem or any of that. I'm not going to fight with you. You'll be put in the jump-off category if I have to. So that is, you know, because it's hell enough dealing with corporate America, let alone come home to a bunch of foolishness. So we have to look at that as well, because back in the day, men weren't really dating interracially. Back in the 60s and all those black power movements and a lot of conscious sisters out there, that wasn't really going on. Black brothers weren't hopping the fence doing all that now, but now it's more prevalent. So I'm thinking, you know, these men's standards have gone higher, and it's what type of man you choose to deal with. I see women talking about no good men all day long, and I think that has a lot to do with what's going on, is that women talk about men a lot more than what men talk about relationships for dealing with women. They talk amongst each other, he's no good man, and so when you see a man, it's almost a perception is that he's no good because you've been sitting around all day talking about that the black man is no good. So
yeah, but I mean,
that's
a little bit different than what I'm talking about. You kind of going on a tangent.
Yeah,
what I wanted to stay focused on is the concept of femininity. You know, what does that mean, and what are the parameters? I mean, as far as, you know, from a male perspective, which of course you are, you young man, you know, in the dating world. When does it become, quote, too much? Either end. When is a woman too girly to where you roll your eyes? Or when is she become so questionably, quote, masculine that it makes you kind of step back and feel like she's in competition with you or something? Can you explain what the limits might be?
Well, I mean, let's say, my father always told me to test women. You know, you might have to act like you're laid off just to see if she wants you for your money. You might have to make her mad on purpose just to see how she fights and how her temper tantrums. You know, so I might test a woman, but if she's coming at me barking like DMX and that neck is just rolling back and forth, and see, to me, I really tell black women, hey, I'd rather you maintain being the softness and pull a gun on these knucklehead fools than to give up all your femininity, wasting your youth, wasting energy, stressing out and gaining weight, dealing with all these knuckleheads. Then when a good man shows up, you can't really recognize him because all your subconscious mind has been exposed to is knuckleheads. He's too nice or throwing in the friend zone. So your subconscious mind has a lot to do with what you'll pick in the future, what you'll choose to deal with in the future. If you're used to fighting with a man all the time, you're not going to be able to recognize the man that's not looking for a fight. I'm not looking for a fight. I rarely have problems with black women because I don't act out of pocket. You know, I don't really do much to really piss them off. But I will test her to see, you know, I might tell her that I'm laid off and I'm not really laid off because I really want to see is she in there for me or is she in it, you know, for what I can provide for her. So there's a different test.
Let me put you on hold for a minute and kind of expound on a few things.
Go ahead, Ms. Hart.
Now, you know, one thing I think that we want you guys to look at here, because, you know, when we were talking about this fight thing on Facebook and all the issues about, you know, black women being too manly and hard and aggressive, hyper-masculine, all this old stuff, all these terms were being bandied about. One thing that I was thinking, and I wanted to save it for this show, is, now what would happen in a situation where we took gender out of the equation? Now, people were faulting him, especially some, you know, women. Now, I admit, I am extremely pro-woman. Everybody knows me, knows that. I will advocate for a woman, but on this case, I have nothing to say in defense of this chick. She, you know, I had to step back, turn my back, and walk away. There's nothing I can say to her because she was just totally out of pocket. But let's just say because some of the women were saying things like, well, you should never hit a woman. He had options he didn't take. And, why did he hit her? That was wrong, this and that. Okay, now I'm thinking anybody in this world has the right to defend themselves. And her silly behind, if he hadn't got up and showed her, matched her aggression, she would have upped the ante. Now, she already choked him. Like I said in the intro, she reached over, she spit on this man, and she choked him while he's driving a bus with 40 or 50 people in it. That he could have, she doesn't know his health condition. What if she cut off his air at just the right place? The dude passed out, or, he responded with a spasm or something and, ran the bus off the curb and smashed into the telephone pole or something, or killed somebody trying to cross the street. I mean, there's so many negatives that could have happened based on her behavior that, it was just a problem. Okay, but let's just take the gender issue out of it. Now, if a man had been on that bus and had done the exact same thing to the male bus driver, would your opinion of his response be different? That is a very important question. Likewise, if that had been a female bus driver that this girl was messing with, and the female bus driver got up and knocked the hell out of her, would you still think it was wrong? Excuse me. I think those are two very important issues. Hold on a sec. That need to be examined. Because I don't think the fact that she was a female should really come into play here. Now, like the bus driver said, she want to come at me like a man, I'm going to treat her like a man. So, is that what you saw? Was her behavior, quote, manly and not feminine? And what's the difference in gender response? That's what I want to know. So you think about that, and then you get back to me. The number is 347-327-9215. That's 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad. For people who are using headsets, I will not be picking up your calls. You may as well not bother. I'm sorry. Got to use a phone number so I know what area code you're calling from, and I will be writing down your number. So anybody has a crank call, you will be reported to Blog Talk, just so everybody knows what page we're on. Because I'm not doing the stupid people calls anymore, not messing around. This is a new season of the show, and I expect people to act accordingly. All right, area code 713. What's your question or comment? All right, area code 713. Your mic's open.
Deborah, I have something to say.
I'm open. What you got to say?
Deborah, I have something to say.
Turn your stereo down.
If we take gender out of the picture.
Okay, you need to turn your speakers down because you're getting that feedback.
I just turned the TV off. Okay. If we take gender out of the equation. I just turned the TV off. Okay. If we take gender.
Okay, the TV's not off. I still hear you. Okay, let me put you on hold and get somebody else. Okay, area code 909. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Hey, Deborah.
Hey, what's going on? What you got to say on this subject?
Okay, that bus driver was 100% correct. 100% correct. I'm surprised he didn't punch her in the face and then stomp her to death. Because on what planet do you spit on someone? You spit. You hawk some crap out of your neck and spit it on someone that you don't know, who has done nothing to you. If that man was my father, I would find her afterwards and stomp her fucking stomach in, period.
Yep.
So I'm totally happy with what he did. I saw the video and sent LOLs all around the world. Because I was like, she had it coming. She had it coming. And I mean, he's not wrong for that, in my opinion. So that's my comment.
Now, what do you think about? Agree, I'm over here covering my mouth so I won't be laughing too loud on the show. What do you think is the perception of femininity and, our social perception. And do black women traditionally meet it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And why not?
Black women that I know personally they look feminine, like dresses, skirts and stuff, but will charge you as if, like, they're a guy. I've seen, bullies who are not only mentally bullies, where other cultures are, mental bullies,
Mm-hmm.
Black girls that I used to know in high school will corner you. They will beat you up. They will chase you down the street. Black girls, and I'm a black girl, traditionally are bullies.
Wow. Now, where do you think that's coming from?
Living in, Blackistan, having to fight, every single day, going home, fighting over, aggressive, men all the time who, abuse them on the street corners. So they're just hostile. If a girl is from an urban place, she's going to be aggressive. It just so happens that black girls live in those places.
Yep. That's my perception too. It's kind of a defense mechanism, because I was trying to explain that to my brother earlier today. A woman, he says, well, are you saying that all women are like that, or with all men, or are they only like that with some men? I said, oh, there's most definitely only with some men. And he's like, well, why is that? I said, because there are certain men, just like think of an animal in the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. When it is in a situation where it feels that there's a perceived threat,
right,
it's going to respond in an aggressive, it will match the aggression of the person or animal, whatever animal thing it feels is about to attack it. Those that, it's going to give out a warning, like wolves will, growl at you, and, dogs will bark, and rattlesnakes will rattle their tail. That's a warning. And these girls, they start this mouthing off thing, and so it's like they're puffing themselves up to match the aggression that they feel is coming at them from a perceived threat. And I just like what you were just saying, in Blackistan, once you leave your house, sometimes they even come in your house, it's aggression everywhere. The girls are abducted, they're raped, they're beat up, they're robbed. So, you have to, when you hit your door, put on a certain kind of persona that it labels you as tough and somebody to be reckoned with. The problem is a lot of those girls don't know when to lay that shield down and put that sword down and rest it. Take a rest, take a chill pill, just chill for a minute. And but I totally understand where it comes from and why they do it, especially the inner city girls like you talking about.
Those girls abuse other women.
Yeah,
I've gone to
the problem.
Black schools and white schools also. White girls will hate you and say, I don't like her. That's fine. A black girl will not like you and punch you in the face.
Ooh. Thanks.
It gets that deep.
Everybody's happy I'm back. But I said I got a lit up switchboard, so I'm going to run. But you made some great comments, and I'm going to expand on some of them in a second. Thank you. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, let's get area code 913. Area code 913. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Good evening, Miss Heartbeat.
What's up, lady?
I agree and disagree with the last caller, because I'm actually an urban chick, okay? I'm originally from Chicago. And I can see where she said that a lot of black girls are aggressive. Yeah, there is where they have their back, they have their guard up a lot. But then there's also, you have to also realize there are some young ladies, they are not taught at a young age how to be a woman. And so you have to factor that in also with how they are carrying themselves. And it's not so women that I would say it's like that. It's the young ladies right now, the ones that's in middle school and high school and colleges are right now. They don't know how to really carry themselves as ladies.
Mhm.
Okay. Now you do have, you have some rare, some rare ones that's just out there off the hook. But as far as the young lady in Cleveland, I don't advocate violence against women, but I think she deserved exactly what she got because she brought that on herself. First off, it's a safety issue. She was sitting there, she was standing there where the bus driver was operating the vehicle. In Chicago, you're not even supposed to be able to stand right there because that's distracting the bus driver. Okay? And her sitting there spitting on him and all that, she's caught on that on herself. I watched the video and I was shocked of the things that she was saying to him. And I felt that she deserved everything that she got.
I'm with you.
That's my
I'm in full agreement, and I love what you said about the young ladies not knowing how to be ladies. That's interesting. I'm going to ask the men about that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get a caller from the area code 916. Area code 916. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Well, good evening. This is Chocolate Divine in the chat room.
What's up, Choc? It's like I never left. It's like the crew. You guys only scheduled this show a few hours ago. Everybody must have been like perched, waiting to get that email.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of done with Adamantium Head. That's my nickname for her because she took that blow like a champ. But needless to say, I just kind of agree with the young lady about a call or two back about the fact that the hood doesn't accept or doesn't really respect softness in women. And I won't just say it's a matter that black women are bullies. I was a nerd, very introverted, very studious growing up, and like they said, you get in a situation not with just women, but even with men, that you cannot be soft. By the time I got to junior high school, we was throwing them things. I was the meanest chick on the block, and that was because the hood doesn't respect softness. People are going to try you, men and women, and that's just the way it goes. Mm-hmm. So not only do you have the physical thing where you're physically having to defend yourself, because folks are just in survival mode, but then you even have the sexual aspect of it. If any time you even attempt to express femininity, I remember once just wearing, a cute little girly outfit going to the store and coming back and being surrounded by a group of black men that decided that they were all going to just assault me and put hands on me, and who knows what would have happened. Me just, like an animal. At this point, I go into survival mode, and I'm trying to fight my way out of the situation. And then when I went to the black men in my life to say, hey, this happened to me, their response to me was, did you tell them MFs not to put their hands on you? Did you beat them MFs down? So they weren't stepping in to defend my honor. So, at a very early age, I understood that, once again, the hood doesn't respect softness, and they weren't going to protect my femininity. That was something that we as black women needed to do on our own because we were on our own. That's just what it was. And to this day, even my resting face, as I will call it, is a frown. It's a grimace because it's a self-defense mechanism. Mm-hmm. I don't like being around groups of men, in particular black men, because I've seen them do some janky stuff to black women in the hood. But like you said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Once you get out of that environment and you've survived, you're kind of penalized when you're trying to adapt or navigate situations that aren't the hood. So how do you, like you said, how do you teach yourself to get away from that? And how do you, quote unquote, be more of a traditional feminine woman when in the hood they don't respect femininity? They only respect strength and violence. So, I mean, it is kind of an issue that we still need to look at as a community, that we really don't respect that. And, now I can lay back and just do my thing, but like you said, even now I still get that smile, why don't you? And, at the end of the day, that's just something that kind of stays with you. So, that's
girl,
what I have
you broke
to say
it
about
down.
That.
You broke it down. And that's exactly the point I was trying to make, but of course you made it so much more eloquently, and I appreciate that. See?
Well,
That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. You know, it's not like we want to be like this. It's kind of like you have to be, otherwise you will perish. That's just the way it is. You can't be walking down the street smiling and being all friendly to people. The next thing you'll be on a milk carton. It just doesn't work like that.
Exactly. And I mean, like I said, and I grew up in Compton during the height of the crack epidemic. So, I mean, you had a lot of things going on, dodging bullets and all of the other things that you deal with. But like I said, the hood doesn't respect softness, and that's just not something that you can be. So, you know, it would be interesting, given that fact, that there is, you know, that they have programs that kind of focus on that too. We focus on education and other things to catapult people out of the hood, but do you focus on, you know, social skills and how do you transition to life outside of the hood? Because like I said, by the time I got to college, luckily for me, I had a support system that said, hey, that's not the way to be. Let me instruct you on different ways to do things so you don't end up in jail. But, you know, like I said, my initial response to things are exactly like you said, is to fight it out and kind of like I could see myself in that girl. But like I said, she was just done because she didn't understand how to pick her battles. She shouldn't have ever got up in that guy's face. And like I said, she was endangering everybody on the bus with that foolishness. She needed to have like the whole bus full of seats. She truly did.
But they all friends was in the best said, you know, girl, sit down, calm down, you know, leave him alone, stop doing that. And she's just still, yeah.
Exactly, and that spitting thing, I would have transformed on her too. I mean, who knows if he was even hurt by the choking or the hitting, but that spitting thing, I can't with her. I just cannot.
I like I said, I just had to turn my back on that one. I'll be trying to defend a sister. You know, I'll find some way to defend you, but on this one, I'm gonna shut up. I have nothing to say. I'm done. Well, thanks, girl. Thank you for calling. You made some wonderful points as usual, as always, and good to have you call in.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. We got area code 909. 909. What's your question or comment? 909, your mic's open.
Oh, I didn't want anything.
Oh, okay.
Press
1 on your thing and put your little hand back down.
All right.
Okay. All right. 772. Area code 772. Your mic
Hello.
Yes.
Hello,
what's going
Deborrah.
on?
This is the voice of reason.
Hey, voice of reason.
What's up? What's up? You know who I am on Facebook. Here's the thing. The past two callers took the words right out of my mouth because everything they just said I was going to say. Not only is there a lack of respect for softness in the hood, but in the sense you have to also not forget that she is a black woman. And I want to take it a step further because my parents moved us out of Miami in Florida into like a really white as pie town. But strangely enough, even when you're out of that environment, to add to what the last caller said, people still try you because, I don't know, they just sort of, they expect you to take more. You see what I'm saying? So it's always being put upon. The problem is you don't know when to turn it off because you don't know who to trust. Who are you going to trust? In that situation, I'm just going to have to call it what it is. She was wrong. I mean, that's a safety concern. And plus, people got places to go. People probably mad. They're trying to get to work or wherever they're trying to get to, and she's over here arguing with the bus driver. You know what I'm saying? So
clowning.
But clowning. But he had no right to put his hands on her the way he did. You know, at the end of the day, you're a bus driver. There's a million cameras on the bus. You can press charges afterwards. She's a woman. You're a man. Come on. Did you really have to do her like that? I think the guy had to be the bigger person. I think it's funny because we live in a society where we're always asked to be the bigger person, especially women. We hear that a lot, especially as girls. You know, if somebody does you wrong, suck it up and be the bigger person. But yet, strangely enough, we don't expect men to be the bigger person. We expect them to just be aggressive at all times. The bus driver wasn't right for what he did. He was wrong. Like, you didn't have to whoop her like that. And I understand, to him, he was probably thinking, well, I got these people on the bus. they got places to go, and, you know, I got to get going, so let me just throw her off. But still, it was just wrong. That's not the way you handle the situation. I mean, think about all the paperwork you had to fill out after that incident and all that. I mean, do you really want to do that? And plus, I just think that they were just both wrong. They're both wrong, especially the passenger. But you laying your hands on someone, people need to remember, like, you can't just do that. I'm sorry, like, I understand that we come out of environments where people are aggressive and that you have to defend yourself all the time. But, you know, I used to be told all the time as a kid, there's a time and a place for that stuff. There's a time and a place. That was not the time. It was definitely not the place. So, you know, I just make of it what you will, but I just think people saying that she deserves to get her butt whooped. I mean, she could be crazy for all we know. I hope they put her in for, like, psychological evaluation and all that stuff, because to be quite honest, I don't think I think she got a few loose screws. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just don't think her head's screwed on right.
Well, she already had, like, he talked about her, one of the cracks he made that infuriated her was when he talked about her sliced up face. And it turned out, you know, she's already got into a knife fight and got the bad end of that, and she's been shot. So it's like, you know, that girl has some issues. And it's like, if people are shooting you and cutting your face up, there's something wrong with you. And, you know, I mean, I understand everybody has drama, but you got 2 dramas already, and now you got punched out on a bus. Okay, that's 3 times. Your number is clipped. That's it. So, I don't know. She's something wrong with her. She needs to, like, be banned from public transportation for the rest of her life. That's what I would do if I was the Cleveland Transit Authority. You can't ride our buses. You got to walk. Get you a moped or whatever you're going to do.
Use a bike or, you know, but you know what? And on the whole femininity thing, I heard your first caller who was a male, and I'm sorry, he was just full of it. I mean, I don't think this is a race thing. I just think that it has a lot to do with growing up in an environment where being aggressive, and even if you are soft, let's just say these women were to be soft and feminine like these guys magically want us to be, then that would just be inviting all sorts of other types of trouble, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
It's like you can't win. You can't win, and you can't win for losing. Just you can't win. You be feminine, well, you're being fast. And you're attracting all sorts of wrong attention. You get raped, well, that was your fault. You know, you're aggressive, oh, you deserve to get beat up. I mean, where do we find the middle ground?
There is none. That's the whole purpose of this show, is to expose that fact. Because, like I said, all over Facebook were all these accusations that black women are too, quote, manly. And I'm like, well, do you understand why? And do you really think that those behaviors are, you know, the stereotypical behaviors are strictly feminine and strictly masculine? I'm about to outline those in a minute. But thanks for calling, girl. You brought up some really, really good points and just emphasize what some of the other callers just said very succinctly. I wanted to
bring up one thing. When you're in the ghetto in a place like that, everyone has to man up at a young age. So, you know, I just want everyone to please keep that in mind. Everyone has to man up at a young age, and I think that also has a lot to do with it.
Tell it. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for calling.
Well, all right. I am the voice of reason.
Yes, she is. Okay, now let's go over this. I want to talk about this. You know, usually I hate Wikipedia. Usually I can't stand it. But I was looking around for some definitions of femininity to read on the show, and I found this thing has almost 100 citations. So it's extremely well referenced and well researched. So I feel okay about using this, where most Wikipedia things are just a joke. Okay, now what is femininity? When we talk about femininity, what do we mean? Okay, this is a perfect definition. Femininity, also called womanliness or womanhood, is a set of attributes, behaviors, and roles generally associated with girls and women. Femininity is made up of both socially defined and biologically created factors. This makes it distinct from the simple definition of the biological female sex, as women and men and transgender people can all exhibit feminine traits. Okay, you got that. Women, men, and transgender people can all exhibit feminine traits. Behavioral traits generally considered feminine include gentleness, empathy, and sensitivity, though traits associated with femininity often vary depending upon location and context and include a variety of social and cultural factors. The counterpart to femininity is masculinity. So, as I always say, I've written about this many times in articles, men define their masculinity as the opposite of the traits that they have assigned to women as femininity. And women need to be very clear about this. You did not get to decide what you were. Okay? You didn't get to pick what's feminine. That was assigned to you by men long and long ago in society, and has been carried forth and trained into women and trained into men. Okay? Let's get that very clear. Not one woman here has decided on her own what femininity is. Okay? Now, as you get older, you get to make use of it or discard things. But we're all operating under one understanding of femininity. Women will challenge it. Women may buck it all together and start dressing like a, diesel truck driver or whatever, and wearing work boots and, cut off all the hair, all the things that they see as the opposite of femininity. But still, the definition of femininity is rigid, is inflexible, and it is ingrained in each and every one of us. Okay? I think people need to be very clear on that so that you understand you didn't decide this. It was decided for you. Okay? Now we move on. Let's go on down the page. And they say, okay, now while defining the characteristics of femininity are not universally identical, because it varies from culture to culture, some patterns exist that are uniform. Gentleness, empathy, sensitivity, caring, sweetness, compassion, tolerance, nurturance, deference, and succurrence are behaviors generally considered feminine. Femininity is sometimes linked with sexual objectification and sexual appeal. Sexual passiveness or sexual reception is sometimes considered feminine, while sexual assertiveness and sexual desire is sometimes considered masculine. Okay, take sometimes out of it and it's always true. Now, if we relate that to dating, which is what this show is about, and the guy's attraction to women that they consider to be feminine, wearing dresses, having hair curled, wearing makeup, talking softly, not challenging him, not being too vocal in her disagreements of opinions and things like that. They want you to be those things because then it frees them to be the opposite. And by doing that, it makes them feel more manly. Do you see what I'm saying? If you as a female are more, assertive, more aggressive, you're not gentle, you're not going to be deferential, you're not going to suck up to him in any form or fashion, well, that's, guys consider that to be a challenge. You're trying to be too manly, and you're not likely to be selected for dating by a man who's not really confident in his masculinity. A guy who's extremely confident won't care. He likes you to match him toe to toe. He finds it exciting. But, those kind of guys are not really that popular and that common in the black community. I'd say really it's about 20% of guys that meet that standard. The other 80% are, very dependent upon you being a Proverbs 31 woman. Whether they go to church or not, believe in Christianity or not, that mentality is what I'm talking about. That's what they're looking for. That's the kind of woman they want. So that is my definition there. I read that from Wikipedia. You can find it there. It's a wiki on femininity, and read the whole thing. It goes into a great deal of detail when it talks about men's perception of beauty. Even down here, men's perception of feminine beauty range widely among different cultures. That's very true. In 1883, Francis Galton first noticed that averageness or koinophilia is a strong indicator of physical beauty. Today, a multi-billion-dollar industry exists around what men find feminine. And that is extremely true. You have women that are going to get boob jobs. They're getting, implants to, in their butts and hips and all this stuff to have a more hourglass figure because they think that men will like them more and see them more as more attractive, more of a feminine profile. So that is an extremely interesting perspective. And let's see. Anybody got any other comments? The number is 347-9215. That's 347-327-9215. God, I'm talking too fast here. And share your thoughts and opinions on femininity. Are black women given the freedom to be feminine? Or are we being robbed of that by the circumstances under which we have to live? That is a very, very important question, and I'd like your opinion on it. Area code 717. Your mic's open. What's your question or comment?
Oh, hi. How are you? Glad to be back on the show. Calling from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And this is Afro Pick.
Oh, what's
now,
up?
with that said, I think the woman on the bus was creating a substantial enough hazard that the bus driver was justified in using whatever force necessary to regain control of the environment and restore it to one that was safe for the passengers and safe for the public.
I agree.
The video was shocking. I literally jumped back when I saw the punch. And of course, I did see that she verbally berated him and then went to be physically aggressive. Had he had lost control of that bus, everyone on it could have been killed.
Yep. At least hurt badly.
Death is the end point. Everything that goes in between there is just too much. One does not have to feel that you should put your life at risk because you took the bus on the way home because of someone interfering with the bus driver. You know, and yes, so I agree with you. I take it to the point of death because if he had to take her out, I would have been voted not guilty.
Me too.
And unfortunately, the bus driver should have been helped by some people. I think they were interfering with him during the fight. I don't think they were actually assisting him. That's just from the vantage point that I could see. I couldn't see enough. You know, there were some comical points of it in terms of people and they're holding the cell phone up. I thought it was somewhat humorous. But some of the people would position themselves and hold it up. Me and my friend were watching that woman, and it was funny. How can I say this? That I don't even, you know, in terms of the hood, the woman that was on there talking about, you know, what it's like in the hood, you got to man up and all that kind of stuff. Yes, poverty means that you have to behave a little bit differently than what it's like where I live at in the suburbs, okay? But, you know, life ain't a bowl of cherries in the suburbs either. I have a gun, you know what I mean? And we'll be using it should somebody come into the doors. You know, what can you say? I mean, it's tough wherever you live. You know,
well,
I got
yeah, but it's a little tougher. It's a little tougher on females because the mess starts when you're about 9 or 10 years old. Adult men start trying to get at you before you even have your first menstrual cycle.
Well, maybe you shouldn't go outside like they do in Muslim countries.
You have to go outside. You're going to and from school. You're going to and from the store.
Maybe you should do like they do in the Muslim countries where you don't venture outdoors without a male escort.
What if you're from a girl you're an only child? You're from a family of all females. You don't have no males in your family.
Hold up. There was does creation still start with man and woman?
Does what?
Does creation of life start with man and women?
It does, but all kind of things.
Okay, so there's
like, wait, whoa, no.
At the beginning of the story.
Let's use my situation as an example. My husband died. Okay, now what?
Does he got any family members, male family members?
They live in other states.
They're supposed to step in.
They live in other states.
You're supposed to move. You're supposed to move to a place of safety.
Dude, you tripping. Okay, anyway, I got it. Let's go to area code 240. 240, what's your question or comment?
Hi, Miss Heartbeat. This is the first time I'm calling in. My name is Demi.
Well, hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I listened to all of your, I feel like a stalker, because I listened to all the podcasts, and I was like, oh my goodness, you know, you have such great advice and empowering women. I really appreciate the work that you do. In terms of femininity, and getting back to the subject, because the guy who called in, it just sounds like a derailment, and I'm not really pleased about that. But I find that there are not enough examples, outward examples of sisters just being seen as women, and that's it. It's always some sort of stereotype that we're being forced to see, and others are forced to see of us. And so when we explore our humanity, which is what we do in every day, people are constantly trying to put us into some sort of negative, one-dimensional paradigm, and I find it very frustrating. My mother's a very feminine woman in terms of, you know, just the classic forms that you were talking about. Very gentle nature, looking out for others, soft-spoken, forgiving, that sort of thing. And I grew up seeing that, but I also saw all the advantage that was taken. So it's kind of like I'm a mix between, I'm kind of like a hybrid. Because of what I saw her having to go through and still going through, I decided to be a little more take charge and empowered and being a little more for myself, while still maintaining a degree of grace, I guess you can call it. I think that femininity and masculinity in either extreme is really, I think it's damaging. There has to be some sort of balance, but I appreciate a man being masculine while still being vulnerable, and that's what I think is missing in our community. It's just all machismo and there's nothing else. You know, it's all this bravado and there's nothing else. And for us, the femininity, it pretty much doesn't even exist. I don't want to go on and take up anyone else's time, but that's kind of like how I see it. In terms of for us, it's very unfortunate because girls don't see any, you know, there are lots of advantages to femininity. Although it's flawed, there are advantages to it. And you don't see femininity with us, so we don't get the advantages that come with it as well.
Right. That's true, and it's very, very sad. But like you pointed out, and some of the callers have pointed out, femininity can be to your detriment in the black community, because you will just be used and victimized and seen as weak, and there's no room for it. It's impossible to be that traditional, stereotypical feminine person and live in the black community. Is not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You know what, you're right, because I see that it's advantageous for me when I'm around white guys or, you know, other kinds of guys. But when I'm around my own people, women and men, I think that it's looked at as a form of weakness and some sort of advantage. You know, I live in the suburbs. I've always lived in an area where it's, you know, pretty mixed, but leaning more towards white. And I noticed that as a person who is not really tough and rough and tumble, didn't grow up that way, didn't have to be that way, I noticed that there's a degree of, oh, okay, well, I'll treat it a little gentler because I come off a little gentler. Whereas when I'm like that, when I'm seeing other kinds of people, it's more socioeconomic than anything else. I'll notice that you get hit on more aggressively. They'll say things to you more outwardly, and it's almost like you're being attacked. Whereas if you're tough or you have a serious mug, as they say, you know, a mean mug, which I have to do, you know, in different parts of, you know, the area, I'll notice that they'll back away, they'll leave me alone, and I'll be safe. I'll be safer then, I should say.
Yeah.
So I guess that goes to your point. It's just a really, I think what we have to do if we want to take advantage, unfortunately, is to move out of that sort of environment so we can actually exercise some degree. I mean, we don't have any advantage. I don't think we have any advantages as sisters, but if we move out of that kind of extreme environment, a more mixed environment, I think that we could reach some sort of benefit, even a fraction of it, than we get right now if we were to stay in the black community.
I'm with you, girl. Well, I'm so happy you called, and you probably know more about my show than I do.
I thought you decided not to do it anymore. I was like, oh, she doesn't have any more shows. And I got a message that said that you came back.
A couple months off, and this time it stretched into an extra month, and I was just kind of enjoying myself. But, you get lazy, and, you lose your edge if you stay off too long. So I thought, let me get my butt back in gear here.
Well, definitely happy to hear from you.
Well, thank you. Thanks, and welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's see. We got an area code 404 here. Area code 404. What's your question or comment?
Hi, Deborah. I've emailed you about this comment, so you'll know who I am. I just want to expound more on the fact that if these girls don't know how to turn off this hyper-masculine behavior, they're not going to be able to navigate in the larger community. And I'm troubled by that. I'm troubled by the lack of femininity that I see in many African-American girls, which hurts them in the broader community. It hurts them when they go out to look for a job. It hurts them when they go on the college campus. So I'm trying to take it from the larger setting. Yes, they have to be hyper-masculine when they're in the hood, but they're going to stay in the hood with that behavior.
Well, you brought up, another caller mentioned that same point and said she was blessed that she had a support system that, kind of coached her through the transitionary period. So for women that are in the community involved in young women's organizations, this might be something to consider instituting as part of the programming, because it's an acceptance of the fact that these girls have to be hard to defend and protect themselves just going to the corner store. When they live in the hood. I mean, it's just awful. I mean, I remember some days, where we lived was in San Francisco, in a part of the town that wasn't really super hoody, but the hood was a few blocks away. You know how it is. Mm-hmm. And so those elements would come over to our streets and our blocks and stuff, at certain times. And so, we ran into them, and it was the kind of thing that you just couldn't be all innocent and sweet pie honey. They would just beat you down, take your money, just slap you, punch you, kick you, talk about you, chase you, all kind of awful things would happen. I remember that from my own childhood. So
I agree as well. I didn't grow up in the hood, but I am from an inner city environment. Unfortunately, had a family of very elegant, feminine aunts and mother. And so I was trained in how to be a lady. My mom sent me to charm school. I was sent to, a Catholic private school. So when I went to public school in high school, my mom just said, stay away from those fussy girls. And I said, Mom, I'm trying. They're talking about, they said, why you talk so proper? Why your hair so long? Just being very aggressive and bullying with me. Mm-hmm. And so when I went to college, I knew how to navigate. And then when for example, in my own personal history, I became a military wife, an officer's wife. I knew how to conduct myself in those social circles. But most of our girls do not. And you're absolutely right. I've been wanting to set up some kind of etiquette school for our girls because they're not receiving that kind of training anymore passed down from generations of older females. Mm-hmm. So where do they get those lessons of how to be a lady? How do you dress so that you're lovely, and so you don't dress like, some kind of easy looking woman?
Girl, because I see these girls, I'm like, do you have to show every inch of skin that you have? Do you really have to do that?
Right. It's my attitude is, why are you so desperate? And talking to my uncle, who grew up in the era of Dorothy Dandridge and Eartha Kitt and Diane Carroll, these were ladies. These were beautiful, elegant ladies. And you don't see that anymore, and it's sad. So those kinds of training passed down through the generations is sadly lacking. And going back to the whole video of this man just punching this woman, she got in his face, and at that point, she's the aggressor. He probably snapped and just viewed her like he would another man. Obviously, he did. And the training that he was brought up with, where you do not hit a girl, that just flew out the window.
I think what he was considering it, because if you really watch the video, he squared off, but he didn't hit her right away. He stood there for a second, and I think that's what, I mean, I'm not a mind reader, but in his position, I imagine that that's what he was thinking. Look at this little fool. Should I do this or not? And then the mouth opened up, and she started talking more smack, and he went, pow! And that was the end of that. But she, I don't know. My main concern with her is that she had no regard at all for all the other passengers by attacking the driver of the bus. And that is where I keep going, you know, because anything could have happened. This guy is 59 years old. What if all that excitement made him have a heart attack or something? I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like all kinds of dangers there where she should have done what everybody told her to do and sit her narrow behind down. Right. And she just didn't do it.
I agree with you. And the saddest thing of all is this woman is a mother. And she is passing the same behavior down to her children. And it's the generational curse. So I don't know at this point. It's a very sad situation all around.
Well, I'm going to put this out there because if anyone that's listening to this show is in a position to write an article that might outline some points that young girls can look at as far as their behavior to make themselves more feminine and adaptable to various social circles, I will happily run it on both of my blogs as well as my Examiner page. It will get major exposure. So I just want to put that out there because I think it's a very important issue. Of course, it all brought to a head by this video. But I think it's time for us ladies who understand this dynamic to do something about it. So if somebody starts it, I'll finish it. But I already have like 900 projects. I can't really spread myself any thinner. But I will definitely participate in it if anyone wants to get started. I will be happy to do that. It will be on survivingdating.com, askheartbeat.com, and my Examiner page. I'll put it up on Facebook. I'll put it on my Twitter. It'll be everywhere. So I just want to put that out there. So everybody, that's hearing this, that's the deal. And girl, thank you for calling. You made some great points. Everybody's just so on hit tonight. This is just great. I'm loving it. My big return to Blog Talk Radio. For those of you who may have not have noticed, I extended the show a little bit. They only do it in 30-minute blocks, but I'm going to be scooting out of here at about 15. So I have a couple other things I need to do this evening, but I do want to try to get everybody who wants to say something on the air if I can. Okay, area code 254. What's your question or comment?
Hello, Ms. Cooper. How you doing today?
What's up? Look at here. Like, look who's here.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic here. I did see that video. My take on it is this, obviously black women are diamonds, but sometimes you got to know how to act like a hard rock. You know what I'm saying? If you grew up in a certain neighborhood or a certain environment, if you were soft or passive, people are going to pounce on that. And that's just anywhere in life, no matter what neighborhood or what background or economic status you have, people are going to pounce on you. So you have to develop a certain level of a mean streak and ruthless aggression. I know where I grew up, I didn't really have to worry about getting assaulted or attacked by women, but obviously women have it a little bit different. Not only they got to worry about other women, they have to worry about men as well. Mm-hmm. So that's something that sticks with you. It just doesn't go anywhere. It's like when a soldier comes back from Iraq or Afghanistan. You just don't come back and it's happy, happy, joy, joy. What you went through sticks with you. So I don't, I understand people say femininity is that. The people pounce on that. So you have to have a certain level of ruthlessness and a mean streak in you just to make it day to day. And it's something that sticks with you no matter where you go, because no matter where you go, you're a product of the environment you grew up in. So the young lady, was she wrong? She was cool up to the point, once you invade someone's personal space or spit on somebody, you got to be real careful. You should always keep your words short and sweet because you may have to eat them one day. And you don't know who and what you're dealing with. You walk up on the wrong person, you're going to get dealt with. I've seen it too many times. So as long as you ain't invade nobody's personal space and you don't put your hands on anyone, because it's real easy to say coulda, woulda, shoulda, what I would have done. I'm not even going to do that. What's done is done. You know, she learned a lesson. I believe the man did as well. Ultimately, my personal experience with this particular topic, I dated a woman, and when we first got together, from her previous experiences, she used to sleep with a knife under her bed, even when I was with her, you know. And I didn't ask why. I understood, hey, have you been through some things? But I got her to the point where she became comfortable enough with me that she didn't have to do that anymore, you know. But that just took time and just being around me and seeing that I was my own man and not like the ones that she dealt with. So, as I said, it's real easy to criticize and critique all women about, oh, you're too hard, you're too this. But look, it took years to build that wall up. It's just not going to come down overnight. So if you're a real man and you want to be with that woman, either you're going to work with it or you can't. You need to move on. But it's not something that's going to go away. That's a foundation of who and what that person is. So I know you have other calls to get to, and I ain't really want to monopolize all your time. But that's all I really had to say on.
Well, I'm so glad you called in. You always have pearls of wisdom. You fly in and drop them and then roll out. But I'm glad you got notice of the show, because I scheduled it all last minute. I was like, God, I wonder if anybody's going to even be on the show, because I sure didn't plan this, but oh well. I'm glad. All right, well, I'm happy to hear you call in, and I hope you had a great summer.
Oh, I most certainly did. And welcome back.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, let's see. We got, God, now I don't know who already, if you already spoke on the show, can you press 1 on your keypad and it will clear your little call thing, and then I will know that you don't want me to pick your call back up. So that way I can clear. Okay, now people pressing 1. Okay, I see the people. Looks like it's 4 people that I haven't gotten to yet. All right. Area code 937. Your turn. What's your question or comment?
Hey, Deborah. Happy you taking my call. Thank you.
Oh, no problemo. What's going on?
This is your black child.
I
wanted to. How y'all doing? I wanted to say I completely agree with the last brother that talked. Another sexy. He sounded real sexy to me. But besides that, I wanted to talk about this bus driver incident. She was dead wrong. Okay. Here is my issue. Not only had the brother given 20-plus years of service at a service-oriented public job, if there's protocols, there's safety protocols. When she violated and got on without bus fare, that was his cue then, not to escalate it, but to de-escalate the situation and go to his procedures, his policies and procedures. He's been in a position for 20 years. It's been more than one belligerent person. From the police report that I read on smokinggun.com, she was drunk. So what I'm seeing, the backlash is everybody is kind of indicting black females throughout the country because of the behavior of this one belligerent drunk chick on the bus. Yep. Now, she could have had a knife. She could have, instead of spitting on him or punching him, she could have stabbed him in his neck. He could have prevented any further escalation by simply stopping the bus, calling the police, and following his procedure manual. So now he's suspended. The city could possibly be sued. He's going to lose his pension. He's not going to be able to apply for unemployment. He might be able to go through a grievance counseling. And, people looking at the video, depending on their judgment, they might find in his favor and he may get his job back. But he has so much to lose. Instead of thinking about that, he decided to get down on her level and argue back with her. Oh, I'm going to have my daughters kick your ass, and I'm going to have my wife kick your ass. So you're escalating the situation, and you're supposed to be a professional. And then on top of that, like you mentioned, there's other passengers on the bus who are dependent on you to get them there safely. You can't do your job and get people there safely if you're sitting up having an argument with a belligerent, rude person. And I don't think belligerent or rude has anything to do with her being a black female. She was just drunk, belligerent, and rude. Now,
I'm with you. This has nothing to do with her gender or race. This has to do with her behavior as a person. She's just an idiot.
Right. She was just stupid. And I'm seeing the backlash of it. You know, these brothers are studying from what I believe is Henry McCall at SaveTheMales.ca. And what he is teaching is that feminism is such a bad word and such a bad thing that females in America don't know their place. And this repugnant black female, this particular nigga bitch, excuse my language, this particular one, she deserves no respect. And when we talking about, like I listened to the sister talking about finishing school and, you know, being more feminine, and, you know, we already talked about all of the obstacles that occur when you're like that. And it's not just in the hood. It is because we live in a hip-hop culture. Nobody's listening to Duke Ellington and Cab Calloway, and there's no jazz music soothing the soul. It's rap music that all day, every day is demonizing black females and girls. And we have not addressed that as a culture. And so now the backlash, because these sisters have been aggressed against, for the most part, you have males, older males usually, you know, hitting on you as soon as you turn 11. You know, by the time you're 16, 17 years old, yeah, you defensive. Yeah, you got a defense mechanism up. And what I can't stand is for our brothers to come in and try to tell me or tell women how to be a woman, how to carry yourself like a lady, because there are a lot of homosexuals. RuPaul is the best woman I've ever seen. She's the most ladylike chick I've ever seen. You know, and so femininity is
too is these guys like this one dude that called in earlier. None of his suggestions had to do with telling men to stop messing with little girls and stop behaving in ways that damage women and make them fearful. That never came out of his mouth. Oh, well, you shouldn't leave the house unless you have a man. Well, maybe you should cover up. Every responsibility for male monitoring and controlling male behavior is being put on females, and that's bullshit. You need to tell men to act like fucking men and stop acting like wild animals. And see, that's the part that drives me crazy. That's why I hung up on his butt. Because it's like, you know, you are talking nonsense. You are this crazy conversation. And I don't want to hear that. I want to hear men man up and tell other men to man up and stop acting like a pack of wild dogs when women and girls are concerned. It's very, very dangerous behavior, and it's damaging the psyche of these young girls, and then they're going to grow up to be damaged women. And so it's going to be a never-ending cycle, but it all starts with men.
Right, and I'm so grateful for Facebook and for sisters willing to speak their opinion, because whether we know it or not, that is the whole plan of action. I've heard T.J. Sotomayor, Henry McCall, Phil Valentine, and others demonize older black women. If you've had sex and you're a black woman, you're some whore. If you've had sex and you've had children, you're worthless, you're useless. So who does that leave? That leaves young girls who just hit in puberty, who they consider virtuous, who they consider virgins and feminine. I mean, I had to argue with dudes to explain to him it was not safe or healthy for little girls 14 to 18 to keep having children before they finish their education, before their bodies are finished developing. You know, that is one of the biggest reasons that young women are dying, is because they're having childbirths too early. But you can't tell these brothers that they are in pursuit. They are in serious pursuit of redefining what black womanhood is, and it usually means being up under some man's foot. So I applaud you for the show. I just wanted to point out that the brother could have wiped that spit away. Spit can be wiped away. You can't get 20 years pension back. You can't get 20 years of service back. Well, he's got 22 years on the job. He's in 59 and a half. He could retire today without a problem. But they suspended him. They suspended him. He is suspended, and the people said that his behavior was totally out of order. He should have followed his rules and procedures. I'm just saying he had more at risk, and he should have contained his behavior, you know, and got the girl off the bus prior to the escalating to the point of the Mortal Kombat punch. It's crazy. Mortal Kombat. Thanks, Deb. Okay, bye, girl. Oh boy. Well, you know, everybody's made some really good points, and I think the key issue that we have come to tonight is that it's going to take a change in women and their perception of womanhood to kind of try to find a balance.
I'm not really sure if that's going to be possible for young women that live in the inner city where the males there act like wild animals. There's no way to deal with a wild animal except with aggression. You have to match their aggression if you want to survive. And that's pretty much what these girls are in. They're in a battle of survival. So people saying things like, well, you know, they don't have to be that hard, they don't have to be that aggressive. No, they do not have to act in the manner that the young lady did on the Cleveland bus incident. That was ridiculous, and that is not an example of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the face that young women have when they go on the street. Brothers always commanding that they smile. Shut up. Keep that to yourself. You don't need to tell somebody to walk around grinning like a stupid Cheshire cat. She has her face on to protect herself. You don't know what just happened to her, what was just said to her by the clown that walked by right before you. Leave her alone. Don't say nothing. If it's not your woman, you don't even need to talk to her. Just leave her alone. Let her go on about her business without some comment about her body or what you want to do, or can you get her number and all this other old trash that Negroes talk to young black girls. Leave them alone. And the whole focus on, the violence and young women not being too, quote, manly. I'm going to say this. I would never have gotten to where I am in my career if I sat back and was passive. If I let men decide what I should be and what I should do and what I should say and where I should go, I do what the hell I want to do. And most women need to have that attitude. Now, is that lack of femininity? I have no idea. I'm sure it is to some men, but I really don't care. Because my point is, there's a man for every woman. And if you need a guy who needs you to sit down and be a yes woman to him, he is weak. He's a punk. You don't need that kind of man. And that's what the men who the young lady was just talking about on these websites, trying to dictate and control what black womanhood is, but with their condescending remarks and smirks and things. They're weak, spineless, childish, immature, and nothing that no black woman should ever bother about. You want a man of strength. To be a black person in America today requires focus, determination, and really, I hate to say it, not just assertiveness, but a certain sense of aggression. Otherwise, you will be denied rights. Because, folks are only going to give you what they want you to have. They don't going to give you what you want. They're going to give you what they want you to have. And people who wait for an invitation to feel like they're accepted, to be wanted, you're going to lose out. You go where you want to be, and you don't let nobody stop you. And if that is called manly behavior, then so be it. Be manly. Get it. It's yours. Take it. Don't wait for somebody to give it to you. Okay? And that's male or female. Now, but mainly females. So, I have a real problem with this. For those of you who may have missed my last shows, but before I went off the air for the summer, I recently finished my third book. It's called The Black Church Where Women Pray and Men Pray, P-R-E-Y. You can find it on Amazon.com. In that book, I outline what I believe is the source of many of these belief systems about black women and how it's shooting black women in the foot. Be adhering to all these biblical principles of womanhood is hurting you. It's not going to help you. It's not helping you in relationships with men, and it's not going to help you in life. You have got to understand that there are certain good things in the Bible that are good, and there are certain things that are just going to keep you down as a woman. So this show touches on that, and a lot of those belief systems, I believe, about what's appropriate behavior for black women come directly from those scriptures. Proverbs 31 is a favorite quote. And I don't believe in that. I believe you define yourself. You define womanhood for yourself. You feel good about who you are and behave in a manner that lets you look in the mirror every morning and like the person that you see looking back. If you can do that without hiding your face in shame or making excuses for yourself, then you're on the right track. And what you're doing is fine with me, okay? Just don't hurt anybody in the process, because then you got a problem, because they have every right then to come and kick your butt. Okay, because you don't have the right to do that. But I am fully behind you. If anyone has any questions about this show or any other topic that we've addressed, or any questions, period, about your relationship, feel free to write me on survivingdating.com. That's my dating website. AskHeartbeat.com. or if become my friend on Facebook. The link's right there on the show page. And I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you guys were here to sit in with me for the first show of the fall season. And we'll be heading on into 2013 soon. Send me your ideas for topics. And, let me know what you want to hear about and what you want to have addressed on the website. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation for tonight. And I don't know what the topic's going to be next Sunday, but, we'll be here. I'm going to make the shows a little bit later because of football. I don't want any competition for me. I like having your full attention. I'm just spoiled like that. So we'll make the show be a little bit later in the evening. And send me your ideas for topics. It's good. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for coming and showing up for tonight's show. I really appreciate your support. And I look forward to seeing you again. We'll be here next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. sharp.